Today on the channel, we got possibly the hardest top 10 of 2024 to do as we're counting down my top 10 retro wrestling figures of 2024.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another year-end Best of 2024 countdown. In today's top 10, we're counting down my top 10 favorite retro wrestling figures of 2024. And when I say retro wrestling figures, I mean the old school Hasbro style. That's what we're talking about here today. We're not talking big rubber guys. We're not talking the figure collection bone crushing wrestlers and all points in between. We're talking the Hasbro style. And as I mentioned, the hardest list to put together for 2024 is there is so many companies making retro style figures in this day and age. It's enough to make your head spin. And I gotta say, it feels like there's too many of these figures coming out. And that's for a hardcore collector like myself. I can only imagine if you're dabbling in the retro style figures, your head is probably spinning back and forth, left and right, up and down. You don't know what is going on half of the time because there are so many releases and it is very difficult to collect them all. And we've seen a lot of these companies go by the wayside the last couple of years. It'll be interesting to see in 2025 what happens to some of these retro lines. I just don't know how all of them can be sustainable in the new year, but we're going to see what ends up happening in this year. Some of the companies making them, figure collections coming on board with more retro style figures under their own umbrella. Of course, Zombie Sailor, he was at the forefront of the retro boom, of course. Been an interesting year, maybe a challenging year for Zombie Sailor. As they always say, competition raises all ships. We'll see where Zombie goes in 2025 because he's got a lot more competition out there than when he did start. Of course, you got the Mattel Retros, really barely in the game, it feels like. Just a few releases a year, not like some of the other companies out there. Title Run Toys, a new company on the scene. I guess we'll see what they can deliver in 2025. Similar to Latuni. Latuni just came in with a Macho Man recently. More new figures from them to come in the big rubber guy LJN style, as well as retro style figures. Grapplers and Gimmicks, they got to get the award for most improved this year. They really stepped their game up, and every figure seems to almost be better than the last one a lot of the times. A lot of good stuff coming from Grapplers and Gimmicks. Same thing with Epic Toys, rising out of the ashes of Cella Toys. Definitely improving on what Cella was giving us at the time, so a lot of good stuff from them. And even Rush Collectibles. I know a lot of people are down on Rush Collectibles, but what we've seen between the Chris Van Vliet, the French Angel, they have shown improvement. It'll be interesting where they go next year with more wrestling and diving into monster-style figures as well. So a lot of companies out there making these retro figures, making it very hard to pick a top 10 list, but I'm going to try my best. And as usual, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. Start your list at number 10, work your way to number 1. Number 1 being your favorite retro release of 2024. So without further ado, let's kick it off at number 10. All right, we kick it off at number 10, and I gotta say, number 10 was a tie for me. I went back and forth, and I said, you know what? We're going to call it number 10 a tie. So we're going to have two figures here at number 10. I don't think I've ever done this on one of these countdowns, but I really couldn't choose. I kept going back and forth. So that's what we're going to do. We got two selections here for number 10. Call it 11. Call it whatever you want. We got two selections. And the first one here is going to Figure Collections with their variant edition of Buff Bagwell. Yes, he's buff. Yes, he's the stuff. Finally getting a new figure in 2024. I do prefer this more NWO version over the red, of course, non-NWO version. How about that? But a very, very good looking figure. Got the old school Bushwhackers articulation on this one. Just a very fun figure of a character we need more figures of, hopefully in the Mattel line in 2025. So Buff, he's the stuff, coming in at number 10. But he shares the number 10 spotlight with a surprising one. I didn't think this would be on my countdown. This one coming very late in 2024. I gotta say my expectations were fairly low on this. However, getting the figure, seeing it in my hand, unboxing it here on this very YouTube channel. Check out the video. I'm going number 10, Macho Man Latoony figure. I gotta say, I was absolutely surprised about this one. This feels really, really good in hand. The articulation is smooth. Looks like Macho Man all day long. It's got a nod to the old Hasbro retros, but also a nod to the LJNs in a Hasbro retro style. A lot to like about this one. Now, I know some people have complained, myself included, a little bit about the abs and stuff. I guess that's that LJN likeness kind of carrying over a little bit here. But definitely an interesting one. This is going to be one of those lines you got to pay attention to in 2025. I'm very anxious to see where their big rubber guy style, LJN style goes, and their continued retro style. So coming in number 10, Figure Collections, Buff Bagwell, Macho Man Randy Savage from Latoony. Next up, we're at the number 9 spot in the countdown, and number 9 coming in once again late in the year. And I do have another edition of this character coming any day now. However, he's going to have to wait till the 2025 countdown. Who are we talking about at number 9? Well, we're going to Epic Toys. We're going to Bobby the Brain Heenan. Of course, Bobby Heenan had an LJN, but he never had a Hasbro-style figure ever, and man, it is long overdue. I can just imagine how much more fun I would have had as a kid having him down there with Mr. Perfect, maybe even Ric Flair, and the whole host of others in the Hasbro line. But now we get him here from Epic Toys, and truly the brain, he's pointing to his head. Just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of Bobby the Brain Heenan. And like I said, we got another one coming in the black tuxedo. Can't wait to unbox that one on the channel when it comes. But a very fun Bobby Heenan here coming late in 2024, coming in at number 9 in the top 10 countdown. Countdown rolls on to number 8, and the number 8 selection comes to us from the Grapplers and Gimmicks line. And I gotta say, out of all the retro companies, nobody has improved as fast as the Grapplers and Gimmicks. When you look at their starts with the Smoke Train, Old Godfather, to where they are right now with some of their releases, and some fabulous Macho Man releases just recently here. Very excited to see where this line goes in 2025. We know we got Coco Beware around the corner. We got Strike Force. We got a lot of different characters that we've been wanting, and other ones in different kind of paint schemes as well. So have to give the award this year for most improved by a landslide to the Grapplers and Gimmicks, and also have to say they feel the most Hasbro of any of the figures, and that even includes Mattel's retro line. They just feel like the continuation of the Hasbro line, where some of the other lines, Zombie, KWK for instance, takes it to the next level. I think he does definitely, he being old Mitch over there at Hasbro Toys, Grapplers and Gimmicks, he has found a niche for his line, and he's just got to continue in there and just grow that bad boy into 2025. So we'll see where it goes, but here we are at, of course, the number 8 spot, and we're going to a tag team at number 8. A tag team I didn't know I wanted until it came. It is the Quebecers. Absolutely amazing. I immediately thought when I opened these, man, how fun would it have been as a kid to play with my Steiner Hasbros with these Quebecers. That hot feud over the tag titles back in the time, back in the day. Just absolutely, absolutely fabulous. And like I said, I didn't know I wanted the Quebecers really that bad until these did come. Just two really fun figures that shouldn't be as good as they are right here. A definite recommended must-have. Coming in at number 8 is the Quebecers. Here we are at the number 7 spot, and number 7 continues with a late edition down to the wire in 2024. Just recently unboxed this one in the last couple of weeks. This is another character, not a Hall of Famer, not a household name for everybody, but if you were a fan of wrestling in the 80s, especially the WWF, you know this character, and his figure, absolutely fabulous as well. This time we go to Epic Toys. We're going at number 7. We're going to Boris Zukov. Of course, most famous from the Bolsheviks. We'll never forget the WrestleMania match with the Bolsheviks versus the Hart Foundation that lasted about 30 seconds. An all-timer of a match if there ever was one. Of course, former partner of Nikolai Volkov, singles run. One of those kind of name jobbers back in the day, and I would love to see more of those guys. I would love to see the Iron Mike Sharps in 2025. We'll see what happens with that. But a wired flag right here. Of course, the Russian flag there. Looking good, of course. Fits the mood of Boris Zukov back in the day. Fabulous sculpting, fabulous feel to these figures, removable hat. There is a lot to like about this Boris Zukov, and dare I say, could be a sleeper in this top 10 list for me. And Boris Zukov, he comes in at number 7. Countdown rages on to number 6. And number 6 comes to us from very easily the most underrated retro company going today. A lot of people do talk about this one, but I think a lot of people have not had these in their hand. And really, these figures from this brand are seeing is believing with these as absolutely fabulous every single release in 2024. It just comes down to how well do you like the character? How well does it resonate with you? That may vary, of course, but coming in at number 6 for me, we're going to the moon. We're going with Max Moon Comic Kid, of course, from the KWK brand. As I said, the most underrated line in the retro game today. Absolutely fabulous figures. Every single release they have had have been absolutely fabulous. Like I said, it just depends. Are you a Conquistador fan? There's not a lot of people that are probably big-time Conquistador fans, so maybe they don't pick those up, and that's what happens. It is your collection, after all. But Max Moon Comic Kid, one of those ones, would love to see a retro, would love to see an Elite from. Very, very cool, and of course, extra variants of this one as well. Very low-run, high-end collectibles. Of course, you miss it, you missed out for the most part. You're stuck trying to pay aftermarket, and a lot of these aren't on the aftermarket. So a very difficult line to collect. It's one of those things you better get in while you can. Head over to KWK shop. Pick these up while you can, whatever they have at the time. But Max Moon Comic Kid, he's all but sold out at this point here. But a fabulous, fabulous rendition of the character. This one in blue, coming in at number 6. We've hit the halfway point of the retro countdown for 2024. Do you got your list together? Put it in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel as we're unboxing every single retro wrestling figure. Not sure if any other channel is doing all of these figures, so make sure you subscribe. Check out the reviews if you did miss them. But here we are at number 5. And the number 5 selection, I can see many of you guys, and especially you gals out there. I'm talking to the ladies right now. And maybe not. But number 5, I could see being number 1 on many people's list. And this one is fairly revolutionary in the modern days of retro figures. Now, we've seen magnets used before, but never from a major company like Epic Toys here. Who am I talking about? Well, we're going to the deluxe Diamond Dallas Page at number 5. Easily the most deluxe figure of 2024, as you do get extra sets of arms here, and you do get a soft goods shirt. And we usually never see soft goods in the retro line. Of course, the deluxe edition comes with a deluxe price point. We know how that goes. But this is a fabulous, fabulous figure. I may not be the biggest DDP fan of all time, but man, oh man, there's no denying this one is absolutely amazing and easily the best Diamond Dallas Page figure of 2024. I know a lot of people like that Mattel Elite. I really wasn't a big fan of that Mattel Elite. This one is definitely over that one. This one comes in at number 5. It is the Epic Toys Diamond Dallas Page. All right, we're down to the final 4. March Madness in full swing here is what it feels like today. But the number 4 comes from one of the OGs of the retro boom. And a lot of people could point to this company, Zombie Sailor Toys, to really leading the charge for the retro revolution. Who do we got coming in at number 4? It's a character I've loved since I was a kid, playing with this LJN. Maybe wouldn't have fit the Hasbro era so much, but would have loved to have the Hasbro of him. But we did finally get one. Who are we talking about? Well, we're bringing up the one-man gang. And once again, soft goods that we rarely ever see in the retro line with one-man gang here. A giant figure, a beautiful looking figure. Absolutely love this one from the get-go. It's just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of the one-man gang. Should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Hopefully one day soon, him, Akeem, they could share it, whatever it could be. I want to see the one-man gang in the Hall of Fame, and I love this retro figure. Hopefully next up is a Mattel Elite, maybe in 2025 or beyond. Fingers crossed for that one, but the gang Zombie Sailor comes in at number 4. Down to the final 3. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. But once again, we go to the Grapplers and Gimmicks line. Once again, we go to a fabulous tag team. And this has been so high on my want list since I was a little kid collecting LJNs. I wanted them part of Hasbro. I wanted them in the Jakks Classic Superstars line. I wanted them in the Mattel Legends. I want them however I can. And guess what? The Grapplers and Gimmicks line will forever be the first to say, hey, we gave you some Rougeau brothers. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Jacques and Raymond. We're talking about the Rougeaus. The fabulous Rougeaus are here. Just truly all-American boys if there ever was one. Absolutely love these figures. Absolutely loved them from the get-go. So cool to finally get these guys in retros, and I just think back to what could have been if I could have had these as a kid during my playing days. They would have had fabulous matches with the Bushwhackers. They could have just had some show stealers back in the day. I'm sure that would have been. But just absolutely fabulous. I love getting these from Grapplers and Gimmicks. Hopefully we see more Rougeau figures in the future. Definitely a team that is underrated. Happy to see these. And of course, Grapplers and Gimmicks giving us a lot of tag teams. Just recently announced Strike Force as well. So a lot of good stuff to come from the Grapplers and Gimmicks line in 2025 and beyond. But the fabulous Rougeau brothers come in hot at number 3. Getting closer and closer to the top spot, we're at the number 2 retro figure of 2024. And once again, we're going to a tag team. This time, we're taking a trip to Epic Toys. We're going early back into 2024 with figures that really blew me away, and I think blew a lot of other people away. These did come out, and I think everybody understood, hey, Epic Toys is for real. This isn't quite Cella anymore. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the Powers of Pain, the Warlord, and the Barbarian. Absolutely breathtaking right here. I was a kid, of course, in the 80s, not knowing all the wrestling and the terms and stuff. I just knew what I liked in wrestling, and the Powers of Pain, 2 big jacked up dudes with face paint, playing all the hits for young Kyle. Warlord, my dad's favorite wrestler of all time, from him taking me to shows when I was a kid. Absolutely love this. This is just what I wanted. Would love, like a lot of these, to see these released in a Mattel line one of these days. But man, oh man, how cool is this one? I absolutely love this one early on in 2024. Absolutely love it right now. The Powers of Pain Epic Toys coming in at number 2, which means there can only be one. What will be the number 1 retro figure of 2024 as voted by me? Well, stay tuned. The time has come. It's time to anoint the number 1 retro figure of 2024. As I said, the hardest list to put together out of all these top 10 lists, as there were so many good figures released in 2024 from all the various retro companies. Going to be very interesting how 2025 goes with these. Will all these companies still be around? Will they still be working together? Will they be separated more than ever? It'll be very interesting to see where this all ends up going, and we'll stay tuned to it, of course, on the channel. And once again, get your list together, put it in the comments down below. But here we are at number 1. The minute I opened this one, I said, this is going to be tough to beat. I don't know if this can be topped by any of the toy companies this year as far as retro releases go. Now, this is a character that doesn't resonate with me really at all. I remember the character. He actually didn't live too far from me. I would see him on local indie shows. However, he has recently passed away. But this figure is way better than it has any right to be. And you know me, I'm just a sucker at the end of the day for a hairy bipedal creature. What are we talking about? Well, we're going to Manitar from the KWK line. Now, this figure, like I said, absolutely amazing. Even better with the inclusion of the big mastodon buffalo head, whatever you want to call it. The buffalo head on here makes this thing just absolutely over the top. A beautiful big figure that stands perfectly. With these small feet, I immediately said, there's no way this is ever going to stand up, but it stands perfectly even with this heavy, heavy helmet on top of that. Now, there is multiple versions of this one. I have them all in my collection. I'm lumping them all into one because at the end of the day, this helmet, this is what brings it over the top for me. But just an absolutely amazing figure, down to the quality, down to the attention to details. Truly is a sleeper figure. I know a lot of people missed out on this, and this isn't quite the Ultimate Warrior. It's not Hulk Hogan, obviously. It's Mantar. But this has no business, as I said, being as good as it was. And the minute I opened this, I knew it would be a tough one to beat. And it stood the test of time in 2024 as easily my favorite retro figure of the year. Just a very cool figure. One that you shouldn't sleep on. However, long since sold out. Pretty hard to get at this point. But it'll be very interesting where the KWK brand goes in 2025. We know we got La Resistance around the corner. We got Taka Michinoku, TJP. Would love to see some bigger names in the fray there. I guess we'll see what ends up happening. But man, the quality on these really can't be beat. And I put these at the top of the house as far as the Hasbro evolution of what Hasbro would have morphed into if they would have kept the line for years and years. I truly feel like this and Zombie Sailor is what that would have been. Where you get the grapplers and gimmicks, they're more staying the course of Hasbro, which isn't a bad thing either. So I love that we get different variances throughout these different retro companies. A very fun year for retro figures. have to imagine 2025 will truly separate the men from the boys, and we're going to have a heck of a lot of releases in 2025. So we'll stay tuned to that, and hopefully you too will on this very YouTube channel by subscribing to this YouTube channel and my other YouTube channel and following along over on Patreon, the best way to support this YouTube channel. Of course, put your list in the comments down below one last time. Don't forget ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, now on TikTok, and of course my book now available online on Kindle. It is a complete guide to Jakks Classic Superstars. Thank you for checking that book out in 2024. So for the top 10 retro wrestling figures of 2024, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.